So I was watching the original Fast and Furious movie the other day, and it got me wondering, what would have happened if Leon in his Skyline would have raced Letty in her 240SX? Well, I'm Clint Grover with Never Done Industries, and today we're going to find out. So the rules are simple. What I did is I assumed that these characters were real in real life, and they played the roles in real life that they played in the movie, okay? And so Leon and Letty were part of Dom's street racing crew. They were also, his friends and things, but they were part of his crew. And so what I did is I built these cars the way that I think those characters, if they were real, would have actually built their cars for street racing. All right, so let's talk about Letty's Build. Now, Letty's car was a 1997 240SX. The game Forza Horizon 4 does not have one of those, but it does have a 1998 Silvia, which is very similar. So that's the one I went with. As far as the engine, I think Letty's character would have kept the original engine in it, which was a KA24, and so that's what I did. I went ahead and left the engine that came in it in there, and then it's still rear-wheel drive, just like the car was in the movie. As far as bumpers, the car in the movie had all VIS stuff in it, but they didn't have that on here, and so I went ahead and went with the Forza front bumper. I went with the Forza carbon fiber rear wing. And then as far as the rear bumper, C West was the only option, so I went with that one. And then the side skirts, C West was also the only option, so I went with that. As far as wheels go, this is a rear-wheel drive car. Letty was part of Dom's crew, racing crew. And so as far as tires, I went with a racing tire, like a slick, because rear-wheel drive with as much power as it has, any other tire just wouldn't be adequate on this game. I did the widest rear tire that was available, which is a 265, and you can see there that I went with an oversized wheel, just like they did on the car in the movie. As far as drivetrain, everything's fully built. It was a racing car. She was part of Dom's crew, so her stuff had to be built. It's got a 6-speed transmission in it. A lot of you guys recall from the first Fast and Furious, they seemed to shift a million times while they were driving. Brakes, everything's fully built. It's got race brakes on it. It's got a racing suspension, so it sits pretty low. It could go a little bit lower, but hers in the movie wasn't that low, and so I decided not to go with the full race. I just went with this one. It's called a Sport Spring and Damper Package. It's got a cage in it. It's been lightened, all that kind of stuff. Her car was more of a realistic street car than a full all-out race car, and so as far as the engine, I did build the engine all the way because it was designed to compete. If you recall, it competed in race wars against the white RX-7, and so we went ahead and built that all the way up. As far as power, we ended up with 690 horsepower and 575 foot-pounds of torque. The car only weighs 2,444 pounds, which is super light. And we ended up with a final displacement of 2.4 liters. And so that's pretty much the build on this car. So let's go ahead and go over and check Leon's car out. So for Leon's car, the movie car was actually a 1995 R33 GTR, a real one, right-hand drive, cool guy car. For the game, they had a 97, and so I went ahead and went with the 97. As far as the movie car, it actually did have the RB26 DETT because it was a real GTR car. It doesn't have, I've got the specs pulled up here on my phone. It does not have the horsepower numbers that car had, but the performance, 1 bar boost, which is 14.7 psi, Carlsbad, it looks like it did a 12.1 second quarter mile. And so we'll see how my build compares to the movie car build. But as far as my build, the way that I think Leon would have done this, again, he's part of Dom's crew, part of his racing crew. He would have had to have his stuff set up pretty bad, you know, to be able to compete. I believe that he would have left the RB26 motor in there, and so that's exactly what I did. I did not change the engine. The Skyline, the GTR, is an all-wheel drive car, and so I left it that way, obviously, because that's cool guy stuff. As far as the body kit goes, the front bumper, we went with a top secret bumper. That was the closest I could find. The wing, I just left the factory GTR wing on there. And then the rear bumper, we went with the June rear bumper. Side skirts, went with the top secret side skirts to kind of match that front bumper. That way the height was the same. And it looked a lot more like the movie car. As far as the hood, there was only one aftermarket hood option. It was this top secret hood. It's not exactly the same as what they had in the movie, but it's a cool looking hood. So I went ahead and went with that. As far as tires, on this one where it's all-wheel drive, I went with what's called a race tire compound in this game. It's not as good as the slicks, but it's an all-wheel drive car, and so I was trying to kind of stay as close to street car as I could. You know, they wouldn't obviously be running slicks on the street, although the rear-wheel drive cars have to have slicks for the drag race because otherwise they'll just spin the whole freaking way. I widened the width of the tires. Obviously, it's got oversized wheels on it, just like the car from the movie. The drivetrain, everything just like the other car is fully built. It's got a 6-speed transmission in it. It's all cool guy race car stuff. Those guys, that was their life, was street racing, and so they would have definitely had everything fully built. We've got race brakes on it. As far as the suspension goes, his car sat pretty low, so I went ahead and went with the race springs and dampers on this one. If you look at the movie, his is really low. The car does have a cage in it. You can kind of see that there. It's been fully lightened. These are race cars. And I fully built the engine with every option that I could put on it. Everything is maxed out. What we ended up with is 3 liters because it was stroked. We ended up with 672 horsepower and 541 foot-pounds of torque, which is a little bit less than Letty's 240SX, and so that's going to be kind of interesting to see how the more power but rear-wheel drive compares to the slightly less power but all-wheel drive of the Skyline. We ended up with 2,800 pounds is what the thing weighs, and so the Skyline's heavier. You know, you've got more drivetrain involved in there. And so it's going to be kind of interesting to see how they stack up. So let's go find out. Let's race. We do 10.043 seconds for Leon's Nissan GTR. That is a 10-second car. Ooh, 9.810! Letty smoked you, Leon. She freaking smoked you. Well, there you have it. Letty spanked Leon. Did not expect that one. That was a surprise to me. If you liked this video, drop it a like. If you've got something you'd like to say, throw it in the comments below. Or if you'd like to see some other races, throw those in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe so you can see all the new videos we put out. I put one out once a week. Thank you very much for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.